Hi, this is Brian Sheffey. I'm the director for the Center for Family History at the International African American Museum here in Charleston, South Carolina. And on behalf of myself, the museum, and the Center for Family History team, thank you so much for volunteering to digitize foundational African American records. And in this instance, you are going to be part of a project that will be digitizing United States colored troop pension application files held at the National Archives in DC, or College Park, Maryland, or St. Louis, Missouri, depending on where you live. So without further ado, this instructional video is specifically for people who will be on site at one of those three locations digitizing USCT pension applications. This is the project portal. This will provide all the foundational information that you need in order to successfully be able to go on site and to digitize records. And I'm going to step you through how the whole process works. Unfortunately, at the time being, the museum staff, my team, we are crazily busy up to it, including the autumn. So unfortunately, there will be no further online Zoom instructional kind of meetings. So this video has been designed to kind of replace that. So you can always be able to come back to this space to get the information that you need to successfully complete digitizing files. So without further ado, this is a large-scale project. It's the first time it's been done. Anything like this has been attempted remotely in terms of organization and support. So really kind of pleased and proud that it's going very well. We have hundreds of files that have been digitized already. And I wanted to take a quick stop and introduce some of our project partners. And starting off with Family Search, we have 10 Million Names and American Ancestors. There's also the African American Civil War Museum that's based in the DMV area. And I really need to add their logo, and the TV show Genealogy Adventures. So here's a project overview that gives you a snapshot of what this is all about. And and again, thank you so much for volunteering your time to be able to do this, because you have the opportunity to actually make history by helping us digitize and publish foundational African American records that have never been digitized. This project is starting with digitizing United States colored troops, and we refer to them as USCT pension application files, and the widows pension application files. So here you can see the major kind of African American records that we've identified as priorities. Again, none of these have been entirely digitized in their entirety. The first priority is the USCT pension applications. When we get finished with that, next up will be the Buffalo Soldiers service files and their pension records. And then there's the African American homesteaders land files. All of these are amazing resources for descendants of these people who did these things. They are usually packed full of really important family history information, ancestral information, that's hard to find in any other place. So there are a number of steps in terms of being a digitizer that are unique to your role within the overall project. So what we did is we've kind of gathered, we call it a project platform, but it really is kind of a teaching platform as well. But you'll be coming back here to find out what files you need to pull. And it's organized in what I hope is a really straightforward way. So the first thing that you are going to need to do is this right here. Step number one. It is mandatory. And this provides you guidance from the National Archives. It's their Researcher Orientation online course. So you're going to click that link. That is going to take you here. So you can imagine the National Archives houses foundational documents for this country and people who lived, worked, and died here. These are going to be very old records. The USCT pension applications are over 100 years old. Many of them have never seen the light of day. And as you can imagine, for about 100 years or so. So you can imagine a lot of these documents these files are going to be in a fragile state. Again, they are very old. They have to be handled in a certain way. And this online course steps you through everything that you need to know, all the do's and don'ts of what you can do in the National Archives, what you can't do, how you handle the documents, how you don't handle them, how you scan them, how you don't scan them. So you have to basically work your way through the course. There it is. There's the link to it, and this will step you through everything. So we have to remember that the National Archives, whether it's in DC, no matter where they are, these are libraries. They function as libraries. So you have to follow the standard rules for libraries when you go to them. So there's a lot of additional rules of do's and don'ts. So things like you can't take everything that you bring with you into the reading room. The reading room will have lockers, small ones and large ones. It's 25 cents. You need to bring a quarter when you go to be able to store things like your coat and your purses and your pens. There's a lot of things you can't bring in. I'm going to go over that in a minute. But those additional room rules, you will find them here. Again, you won't be allowed to bring things like gum or mint or drinks or food. It's a kind of a sterile environment that way. And again, it's all about helping to protect and preserve old records. So this is going to be your first port of call. You are going to be asked about this when, specifically if you're a first-time visitor to the research room. They're going to ask if you've done this. They're going to ask you some questions to make sure that you know the basic rules, the basic do's and don'ts. And that's not to scare you. This is all about making sure that these records last for the next 100 years, so that future generations can access these records, get the information that they want or need from them, or just enjoy reading about their ancestor. So this is the most important place for you to start. There's information about how to plan your visit for all three locations. So starting with Washington, D.C., if you've never been to the National Archives in D.C., there's an exterior picture, so you know you're in the right place. There's the address. There's its hours of operation. All three locations have slightly different hours of operation. They all, operate from Monday to Friday. They are all closed on Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays. But the main one in DC, Monday to Friday, 8:45 in the morning to 5:45 in the afternoon. Those are its operational hours. College Park, Maryland. There's a picture of the building. There's the address. It's open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And St. Louis, there's the building, there's the address, and its hours of operations are from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And there is another option, and I would only ever recommend this to you once you have gone to the National Archives for the first time. I'm going to go over this in a minute. You get your kind of researcher card identification number that can only be given to you on site by a NARA staff member working in one of the reading rooms, whether they're in DC or in College Park or in St. Louis. Um, I'm going to get into that for a minute. Once you have that, once you've done your first day volunteering and you really get a sense of how the system works, what you can do is you can make a research appointment. And then I'm going to suggest that you do, because when you go and you request your first file of the day, it can take up to an hour for them to go and pull that file. Now, you are allowed to request 4 files at the same time. What I would do is, again, once you are familiar and you are set up with your identification card and all of those good things, what I would do is when you're planning your second and then subsequent visits, you can actually make a research appointment and give them the identifying name, rank, regimen, pension application file ID, which you will get from a pull list, which we'll go over in a minute. You would send that in advance, and then those files will be waiting for you when you actually arrive, so you don't have to wait for an hour to get them. So there is information about setting up those research appointments, and it's not really an appointment as you're thinking because you're not really going to need help and assistance. You just want to let them know that you have 4 files that you would like waiting for you when you go in um, for your next visit and your visits after that. And there's all the information that you need about that in this section and that link. So one of the things to notice or note is that we are not sending you into any of these 3 locations blind, just randomly asking for pension files. We have created, and there are volunteers that actually help us put these together. We're calling them pull lists. So all of the veterans or their spouses or their kids or their parents who could also claim for their pensions are all listed on a spreadsheet that we're going to go over in a couple of minutes. All the information that you need to request a file is on that pull list. So that's a reason why you want to really get yourself familiar. You can see what files have been pulled, what files have been partially pulled, and what files still need to be pulled and digitized. And you will find this pen in section 4 of this portal. And then this is pretty much information that you need to know about. Even though you're not directly involved in this process, you are the beneficiary of it because this is the only way you know which files need to be pulled. Project coordinators, that's me, my staff, and some of our partners, will post a file pull list for one USCT regimen at a time. So at the moment, as of April, we are working on the 54th Massachusetts Infantry. So all of the soldiers, all of the spouses, parents, dependents, all of their file IDs have been added to that pull list. Now, with anything, specifically with files of very old records, there are going to be a couple of potential issues. So some files from the pull list may be missing at the location where a volunteer is digitizing. That is because the National Archives moves these files around between the 3 locations. So a file that may have started in DC may now be in College Park, Maryland, or St. Louis, Missouri. Um, and there's no way of knowing that before you go in. There's no tracking mechanism for these files. They're either there or they're not there. NARA staff may also not be able to provide a file due to its poor condition. Files like these require conservation work to be done before providing them to the public. So you may request a file, they may have it, but they may not give it to you because it's in such a poor state of repair, they actually need to fix the actual pages before they allow the public to have access to them. And that, again, is something that you're going to note on the pull sheet. And you'll see a couple of examples of that. Some files may have a few damaged or very fragile or crumbling pages, so you really won't know that until you start scanning. You open up a file, you start scanning the first couple of pages, you may get you halfway through a file. Oh, and files, by the way, can be anything from 20 pages to 400 pages. You won't know how large those files are until you actually get them. But let's just say you're halfway through, and then you see a page, or it could be a letter, it could be a report, it could be a medical certificate that's just it's crumbling. They're a little crumb. You touch it and it starts to crumble, literally fall apart as you're touching it. Stop what you are doing immediately. Just stop touching it. What you need to do is alert a research room staff member who will come. They will take a look. They will assess that page. Sometimes they may be able to fix it just enough for you to be able to scan it. Other times, and you have to be prepared for this, they may take the whole file away. And there's ways that you can make notes of that in the pull list, which I'll go over in a minute. Um, Like I said, as it says here, if that should occur, please mark the relevant file as partially complete in the appropriate column on the spreadsheet. So again, This is just the basic information about how to familiarize yourself with a current file pull list and some basic issues that may be involved with the file that you request. Step 4, actually requesting the records. So this is what you're going to do when you actually go on location. So when you arrive at your preferred NARA location, go to the research room or research registration area. You may need to show a valid photo ID to enter the facility. So please prepare for that. Please bring a recent valid photo ID when you go to visit, when you actually go on site. Storage locker. Just information here about that. So secured lockers are provided by the National Archives and Record Administration in the research room where researchers must store their personal belongings. So things like coats, bags, pocketbooks, notebooks, pens, any liquids that you have, any food that you have, gum, any of that kind of stuff, keys, all of that need to go into a locker. And they're going to make you do that before you actually enter the area where the historical documents are going to be provided to you. And again, this is all about keeping the documents safe. These are the people's treasures. These are the nation's treasures. Let's see. So there's information about why the lockers are there, what to store in them, where the lockers are located, um, accessing them, and the cost. Again, the cost is 25 cents. You need to bring a quarter. So five-cent pieces, not going to work. Needs to be a quarter. Need to bring that with you as well as your valid photo ID. So in order to request a file, you need to complete a military file request card. And there's an example of that right here on the screen. And I'm going to just kind of gloss over how to actually fill this in. So you need to put the date. That you can ignore. Name of requester is your name. Researcher card number. This is the unique, so this is the card that the research reference desk is going to complete for you and give you that has your unique identifier number. That number needs to go here in box number 4. All of these boxes here from 5 to 9, that's for the NARA staff to complete, so you don't have to worry about it. Next is box number 10, record ID. We are only requesting pension files, so this is the only box that you need to tick, but it must be ticked every time you make a request. Box 11 is the name of the soldier, and you write this in exactly as it appears in the pull list. So again, it'll be first name, middle name, last name, first name, middle initial, last name. You get the idea. Name of a dependent, if applicable. That could be a spouse or a child or a parent. Here, you're going to put in 13 both the regiment ID and the unit ID. So for instance, it could be something like the 54th Massachusetts Infantry, Company K. That would go here. And it's okay if you abbreviate the state names. You don't have to write them out completely. You can see the size of the box, you're putting the whole, spelling out the whole of Massachusetts or Connecticut or some such state. You can just use the abbreviation, but it would be 54th Massachusetts Infantry or Cavalry or heavy artillery or light artillery with its company, A or B or C or K. That's what goes here. The state that they served from. Even if you put it here, you have to put it here too. So the Massachusetts 54 served in Massachusetts. They didn't fight in Massachusetts, but that's where they served. Massachusetts is where it needs to go. And you have to say what war. Well, there's only one war that we're going to be covering in this. That's the Civil War. You can either write that out, Civil War, or you can just put CW, research room staff will know what you mean. Okay, invalid, this strictly only applies to the veterans. So the veteran's application number would go here. His widow's application ID, if he had a widow and if she applied for a pension under her as a widow, her number would go here. Minors, those are their children, and children did request pensions under their parent. So the name would go here, and certificate, the pension file IDs go in this column here. Mother is self-explanatory, father is self-explanatory, and again, their pension file IDs would go in this space. Other numbers, we're trying our best to be able to get them. They're not always easy to find, but when we do, we're putting them in the spreadsheet. The XC is the only one that we need to be concerned with. And again, that number would go here. We would actually put XC in this box here, and then what the actual XC number is here. And again, you don't have to worry about 17 through 20. That's for the research room desk to complete. This steps you through it. This just mirrors exactly what I've spent the last 5 minutes talking about. And then this is an example of what a completed one would look like. This goes over the process of what happens when you hand your military file request card to the help desk in the research room. And as I said, please note that it can take up to an hour to pull it. We have provided guidance on how to handle all files. That is step number 5. So let's start with the basic. Clean hands are a must. And even if I know that my hands are clean, whenever I go to an archive, and it's not just NARA, if I go to a state archive, a university's archive, a special archive, a town archive, a county archive, one of the first things I do once I put my coat away and bag away and all the stuff that I can't take in, I will go and I will make sure that I wash my hands and that they are thoroughly dry. And we do this before handling any kind of a document, but specifically old and fragile ones, to prevent transferring dirt and oils. And this is really important. There are some cultures, my culture is one of them, that because of the nature of our skin, tend to use lotion every day. If you are going to the archive, please, please, please do not use hand lotion or any lotion on the day that you plan to digitize files. No matter, we kind of know what I'm talking about. When you have lotion on your hands, no matter how well you actually wash them, there's still that residue of lotion on your hands, and that cannot come in contact with old paper and old ink. It will badly affect them. We want to minimize our physical contact, handle documents as little as possible to prevent damage from oils, dirt, or wear and tear. Um, Whenever I'm doing this, what I try to do is touch a piece of paper no more than twice. And I do so very, very gently. Um, it's usually advised not to wear gloves, but if you do, absolutely you cannot use acrylic or nylon or those kind of plasticky kitchen gloves. Those are a hard no. If you do use gloves, they must be soft cotton white gloves. Um, but I think for you guys, probably the best bet is just not to go that route. Also think about proper posture and support, both for yourself and the documents that you're handling. So again, you don't want to be hunched over, you don't want to be leaning over, you want to make sure that you're comfortable in your seat, really good back support. That's for you. However, when examining documents, support them on a flat, clean surface or in special archival folders, ensuring that there is no bending or creasing of any of the pages. If you have any questions on this, that's what the NARA Research Room staff are there for. Happy to provide you kind of guidance and support in that. You will also not be on your own. We have a large number of volunteers going in most of them are going into the DC site. It's a bit of a community. You will not be on your own. And honestly, the course of this project, a really remarkable group of people have come together and very happy in terms of supporting you and supporting each other and answering any kind of questions. But always remember that there is a NARA staff member who's normally either at the desk or in the room itself, whose job it is to help you, give you that guidance. Also, turn the pages very carefully, turn them slowly, thoughtfully, and carefully, especially if they're bound materials, and avoid using excessive force that could lead to tearing. And here we go. Please never use, that's the word I was thinking of, acrylic or latex gloves when handling old documents. They will ruin them. And here's an example of, yeah. So if you come across anything that looks like this, it's torn, its pages are doing funky things, and it's just looking like it's going to fall apart if you touch it anymore. This is when you go get the NARA staff member, like immediately. Stop touching it. Don't do anything to it. Just go and get them. Except there's the guidance for that. Right. Now we're going to talk about scanning and what happens afterwards. So you've got guidance on where these locations are, roughly how they operate. You've got information about the course to know how to properly handle documents, the do's and don'ts, all the kind of behind the scenes things that are not necessarily glamorous, but very important. And I just want to show you this. Now we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty of actually digitizing. So there's a couple of ways. I'm going to go over this in a couple of minutes. There's a few ways that you can actually scan documents. I wanted to provide this file as proof of concept that you can get excellent high quality scans using either a tablet or a digital or a mobile phone. So we are asking for a minimum DPI quality of 600 DPI. Would prefer 1200. If you can get 1200, you're going to get 5 gold stars. Really and truly, that's the quality that we're aiming for. 600 is okay, still good quality. What you're looking at is a pension file that I scanned using my phone. And as you can see, I mean, I've blown that up a little bit. You can see how crisp and how clear this scan is. This is what your scans, this is the quality that your scans need to try to get to. Even something like this is an old document. This was typewritten in 1914. So old paper, old typewriter, old typewriting ink. It's going to be a little slightly blurry and not crisp and clear, but this is as crisp and clear as I could actually make the document. This pretty much reflects the actual document as I saw it as I was scanning it. And it really does need to be this size. In turn, because we're going to be sharing these files with project partners, including Family Search. We're going to put it on their site for free while we put it up on our archive for free. When people blow these up to a large size, you have to think again, visual impairments and all those accessibility issues. The more crisp and clear and higher resolution we can make these, the more versatile these documents can be, and the more people that can actually access them. So there's a couple of options. The National Archives, they have their own scanners and equipment. The one in DC, I believe, has between 15 to 20. So while they have them, I can't guarantee that there's going to be one available for the time that you arrive. But just to make you aware, they do have them. You can bring your own scanner or scanning equipment. You don't necessarily have to have one. Again, you can use a phone or a tablet, but what you're looking at on the screen is probably the most optimum and ideal option. This is the only style of scanner that the National Archives will allow. I refer to this either as a crane type scanner, because that's kind of what the shape suggests to me, or an L, an upside down L scanner. But you can, looking at this, I hope you can see why NARA would only allow something like this, because the actual scanner makes no physical contact with the document, none. Um, and that's important. Again, there's no way that that can increase or damage what's being scanned. So a portable overhead scanner, if you're going to get one, is the optimal one. Believe it or not, these are very affordable now. You can get a really good quality for anything from $59.99 to $79.99. So it's not like you have to spend $200, $300, $400, $500 to get a really good quality scanner now. You can get one of those, a model that looks like that functions like that, for anything between, as I said, $59.99 to $79.99. Um, and actually, this is a Google search result based on that style. And if you click that, you can see what the different options are within different price points. The National Archives also has a lot of information about the kinds and styles and the kinds and styles of scanners that you can bring, and that's available on this link right there. So using your own scanning, there's a couple of options that you can do. I've noticed that a couple of people have gone for something like this, where they will use a notebook or a laptop as their power source, also a place to be able to save their scanned files. They will attach an iPad or a tablet or a mobile phone to their laptop or notebook, and the electronic device is the device that they're actually using to scan. There's an app that we recommend. I'll be getting to that literally in a second, but that's one configuration. Um, Other people will just use their tablet or their phone, and they will upload the files that they scan up into the cloud using something like Dropbox, OneDrive, or Google Drive. If you use your own cloud-based fold, uh, folder storage, you will need to grant us access to that to be able to download the files that you've uploaded to that. Alternatively, for digitizers, the museum, we are creating Dropbox folders for individual scanners. So that's another option that's available for you. If you don't have cloud-based storage, just let us know. We will create a cloud-based file specifically for you. Only you will have access to it, and we will have access to it, no one else. Another option that people are using who don't want to have anything to do with who don't have OneDrives, Google Drives, and all those kind of storage-based options, you can actually save your scans on a thumb drive. That plugs right into your laptop, or it plugs right into your notebook. We recommend that if you're going to go for this, that you use a 1 terabyte, because you can imagine some of these files are anything from 20 pages to 450 pages. I'm going to spitball and say that the average is probably about 220 pages. You're scanning those at 1200 DPI each. Yeah, that's going to take up some storage. So you want to make sure that you factor that into your scanning experience. This gives you all kinds of information about what to do with your thumb drive, how to install it, deinstall it, all of those good things. For scanning software, we recommend Adobe Scan, the Adobe Scan app, one because it's free, one because it's amazing and really, really good, and is also available in both Android and Apple. So you can get it from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. There's a video about how to use the app. These are some of the reasons why we really like using them. It comes with the ability to crop. So if you get way too much of like a desktop, if you're scanning a page, but there's a lot of like desktop around it, you can crop it. You can leave it because we can also crop it from our end, but the nice thing about this app is it does allow you to crop, to get rid of a lot of background. You can rotate an image. We're going to probably advise that you not do that until you get really confident with it, but the option is there. Page reordering, again, something that we're going to actively ask you not to do. We're going to come to that for a reason in a minute. And it also auto fits the page size. Really nice, really easy to use app, really user friendly. Can't recommend it enough. However, um, again, if you're using a phone or a tablet, there's two things you need to know. We can never use filters. Not only are we capturing the information that's on the document, when we're scanning them, we're also creating a historical archive of the document itself. So you're going to, going through these files, you're going to see some pink pages, pink colored pages, some blue colored pages, some yellow colored pages. Um, we need to capture that, as well as the text that are on the pages. So please, no grayscale scanning, no black and white scanning. We are scanning, we're preserving the files in a digital format. So capturing the character of a page is as important as capturing the information about a page, which brings me to a really important rule for the National Archives itself. As you're scanning through the pages, you may notice that some pages are out of order. You cannot put them back in order. You have to scan the pages in the order that they come up. And again, something I think that the NARA course goes over, you scan the front of the page, that's the first time you touch it, you take it to, flip it upside down to get ready to scan the next page. If you happen to see on the back of that page, if there's a stamp or a note or a notation, anything of that nature, you need to scan the back of that too. That becomes part of the historical archive for that file. If the back side of the page is blank, you're good. You don't have to scan that. But if it does have a stamp or a marking or a note or anything of that nature, the reverse side of the page also needs to be scanned. So no filters. We're capturing these pages exactly as they are. Also, with the Adobe app, don't use the adjust feature. I don't really want to get into what that is. You'll see it, just never use the adjust feature, because that, again, that changes it changes aspects of the document that we don't want to change. The third most important rule, absolutely never use Flash. If you're using a phone or a tablet, never use Flash. Flash in old documents, Flash is not a document's friend. It can mess with the paper, it can mess with the ink, it can mess with the pencil, so no Flash. Always make sure that your phone and tablet's Flash capability is turned off. How to name your file. So, you've gone through, you've done your digitizing, and now is a good time for me to say that please, please, please scan these as one continuous PDF. I get it, sometimes accidents happen and the scanning will cut off halfway through a file. Rather than restart from the beginning, just start your next PDF file for that particular pensioner or their widow or their child. Just start a new PDF and just finish the rest of the file. And we can combine those two files when you upload them and share them with us. But and we would prefer it if you actually scan them as PDFs, not JPEGs, not PNGs, not as individual image files, actually scanning them as PDFs. That just saves us a load of time at our end. But back to naming conventions. Pretty much what you see on the screen. Um, the pension applicant's surname, space, first name, space, middle name, or middle initial dot PDF. Normally, the app will put the PDF on it automatically, so you don't have to worry about that, but just know that the naming convention is always last name, first name, middle name, or initial. So that just makes things consistent and easier for us. And here we go about scanning quality. It said, high quality scans are important. This gives you some structural information about why that is, and what you should be looking out for. As I said, 600 DPI or higher. Like I said, 1200 really is the optimum to ensure that the text that people are reading is sharp, that images are clear, and that the scans can be used for detailed viewing or printing. Clarity. High quality scans avoid pixelation. We know what that is. When you take like an image at a low resolution and then you try to make that image larger, things get really blurry and it just looks awful. So again, scanning at a high quality avoids that. I've already mentioned color accuracy and why that's important. Um, yep, file format. Please save as a PDF. And there's some more pointers there for you to consider. So please, again, spend some time on this to make sure that you're understanding and more important, confident. This is one of the reasons why I created this portal, is to give you the confidence, because I'm in Charleston, you're going to be in DC or College Park, Maryland, or St. Louis, Missouri. I am not going to be on site. My team is not going to be on site. Um, so again, the whole reason for this portal is to really kind of give you not only the encouragement, but the feeling as though, confidence to be able to go in there and to do this. And again, there's that file that I was going over with you previously. One of my words of advice is find some documents in your house, some papers, just make sure they're not probably sensitive ones. It could be anything like a bill or a marketing flyer or something from a newspaper. Practice. Really practice scanning using the equipment that you're going to be using, because you might as well get familiar with the process and work out your methodology and your flow and how you're going to work. Really spend some time at home getting to know both the Adobe Scan app, whatever device you're going to be using for scanning, so that you can really just hit the ground running from the first moment that you actually go to scan your first document. But always know that me or my team, we're always just an email away, um, to answer any questions that you have. Please do note that if you do email us, we are a small team, but a very busy team and a real world active Center for Family History that's got hundreds of people that come every day, that need our support and guidance in terms of how to find their ancestors, as well as our research projects and the loads of events and programs that we do. So there's sometimes there may be a delay of a day or two before we can actually get back to you. Um, but I've got a workaround. I'm not going to spoil it. It's going to be the last thing that I reveal to you. So again, lots of information about how to scan, how to save your scans, and now we're going to get to how you can share your scans with us, because that's kind of the whole point. So you've done it. You have scanned your files. They're ready to be shared. At the end of the day, when you get home and you're ready to share them with us, there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. As I said, I'm going to say probably 90% of our volunteers, they already have their own personal cloud-based storage systems. And again, the big three would be Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive. I always forget OneDrive. And basically, they just share that folder with us to be able to download the pensions that they've uploaded. If you don't want to do that, or you don't have a cloud-based storage solution, we do. Again, before you go in for the first time, you can say, "Hey, I'm just getting ready to head to the National Archives, to start scanning." We will set up a Dropbox for you, and it's only for you, on our own server. And we will share the link and we will give you the permission and all of those good things. So this is all the information about that. Um, all in this handy accordion. Pretty much anything you need to know is here. So I'm not going to really spend whole lot of time on this. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of good guidance information that's in here. We no longer have the poll, so I'm going to skip over that. So this from 1 to 7, so from basically step 1 to step 7, section 1 to section 7, that is the nuts and bolts. That is everything you need to know to be able to successfully scan and provide high quality scans to us as part of this project. Now, you've heard me mention it. I feel as though there should be a drum roll coming. So, section 2 of the portal is all about the file pull lists. And we only ever have one current pull list at a time. Otherwise, that's just going to cause confusion. We really are trying to work in a very streamlined, agile way. So as it says here, an interactive USCT pension application pool list has been provided to support your digitization efforts. Each pool list is organized by regiment. So we're actually starting with the 54th Massachusetts. That's the pool list that you're going to be working on. And volunteers are asked to pull files in the order that they've been provided. This is all going to make sense in a minute. So again, this is repeat information. I don't want you guys sitting there going, what step in that first part covered this? I've repeated it for you right here, just to make it easier to refer to. So here is the pull list. This is information about the headings. All the headings are explained here. So let's make this larger by making that go away. So here you can see this is you, 54th Massachusetts. We will always tell you the regiment that you're working on. And again, to make things streamlined and agile, we will be working on one regiment at a time. And then when we complete one regiment, we move on to the next one. That way I can tell the other large partners like Family Search and American Ancestors and the African American Civil War Museum and the Genealogy Adventures crew. 54th, when we get completed with this, yep, 54th Massachusetts is done. We're moving on to the next one. This is a Google Sheet. There's the link to it. So again, this is another really important part. On the first day that you plan on volunteering and going into a NARA site to digitize, please let us know for another reason. I will need to add your email address to the Google Sheet, the original spreadsheet that you're seeing here, to allow you to be able to update it, to let other researchers know that you have requested a file and that you have digitized a file. This is the only way that we can to try to minimize the risk of two volunteers asking for the same file on the same day. And I'll go over this in a minute. So here we can see a couple of different working examples. You get the regimen, you get the company. You should be thinking about that military file request card. Regimen, company, there's the name of the veteran. Now, not all veterans had files. Aaron Freeman didn't have one, but his widow did. She has a pension application, and that is her application number here. So for this military card, you would still put 54th Massachusetts, State Massachusetts, Company K, Aaron Freeman as the veteran, that he was a private. But remember, there in that bottom part of the card, this part of the card right here, widow. Rachel's Friedman's name would go here. Her pension application number would go there. So name a soldier. He doesn't have anything. Widow, her name, her card number. That's where that would go. I'm trying to find a more advanced one. I'm not getting one. Here we have Abraham Glasgow, who is a private. There is his pension ID number. He has a child, Henry G. Dixon. There's Henry's file number. Something else that I want to show you. So on this side, this is why we have the interactive spreadsheet. So when you go in, you've requested, you're requesting your first file, you select the veteran that you want. So all of these, they've been done. All of these with tick marks, they've been done. You would select, so if this was an empty one, let's try going down. Wow, you guys have been busy. So for instance, I don't know who this is, but that, you would tick it. You would do this in the Google Sheet. The wonderful thing about on the portal, you can't make any changes to it. That's why there's the link to the Google Sheet at the top. You would actually click that, go into the Google Sheet, and actually select it. Now, if you have successfully finished completing digitizing an entire file, you go back into the sheet and you select digitized. So that lets us know on my end that we should be expecting within a day or two a PDF for a completely digitized file. Now, these are also equally important as well as the notes section. So as I said, some files may be missing. These files occasionally get moved around. I don't know why they get moved around, but they do. So the researcher, the research room staff member will come back to you. We're really sorry, but we absolutely do not have this file. You would click that and you would put a note, file missing. So that tells us that we can inform our volunteers in College Park in St. Louis, hey, when you have a minute, can you check to see if this file is at your location? Because it's definitely not in DC. Which is kind of will be nice for the National Archives when this project is done, because in a way, we're now kind of doing their inventory for them. We can actually update them as to where specific files are that should have been at the DC location, but aren't, ended up in one of the other two locations. We've gone over damaged and withheld files. So if a file is completely withheld because it's just in such a poor state of preservation, they need to conserve it. You would click that and you would actually put the reason why. Poor state of repair, withheld for conservation, whatever wordage makes sense to you. Or if you're you're partially way through a file and then it gets taken away from you because you found one of those crumbly pages, you would put that, you would again select this and select partially scanned and then give us the reason why. So we, that way we know that there's still files that we need to go back and complete. And we also know how much, as part of this project, there is a percentage of the budget that we have that will go to the National Archives specifically to conserve and preserve these really damaged pages and really damaged files. So that kind of will tell the overall project management team how much money we need to send to the archives to be able to do that. So you can see some of the ways that people have put notes in here. They abandoned the file, which would have been the veterans file. I don't know why they did that. Hannah Thompson married Ezra Tobias. Oh, okay. So I get it. They digitized her application, but it was part of her second husband, who was also a veteran. You see that occasionally. This note is saying that the widow's file is done, but that the veteran's file has not been done. So that again, that's telling people that someone needs to go and pull that file, his file, her husband's file, to digitize it. Same here. Looks like a widow's file was done, but that her spouse's file was not done. Okay, cool. So people are letting me know that something has been scanned and when they're going to share that file with us. So that's the pull list, nuts and bolts. We'd really try to make this as simple and streamlined as possible. Um, and as I said, you will see it displayed on this page, but the actual file itself, if I can actually get that link, is here. You see that link right there. And that's the pull list. So hopefully nothing too scary or or sinister. But as I said, the really important thing is the day you're going in to actually do your first digitizing session, shoot us an email. All emails should go to CFH, C for Charlie, F for Frank, H for Henry, at iaamuseum.org. Either me or one of the team will see it and will respond to it. But let us know, and then we will actually add your email address to the Google Sheet so that you can actually go in there and update it as you're pulling your files. It's the only way that you can update it in real time as you're pulling files. The rest of this really isn't going to pertain to you. There's some information here on the portal for our volunteers who are creating metadata. They're working with a metadata template that we've provided for them, filling in key information from the files that you digitize. So you digitize them, they read them, pull out the metadata, and then they're sharing a spreadsheet with us. But this was the last bit that I wanted to share with you. We have created a community chat, a project community chat. It is only accessible on this platform, meaning no one, if you're not, basically when you join the project, and again, the link to this portal will be sent to you in an email. You go in, you sign up. Once you're signed up and verified, you will have access to the volunteer community chat. So if you're going in on a Friday to DC, you could, or St. Louis or College Park, you can say, "Hey, everyone! I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm really excited to go into College Park today. Anyone else going to be at College Park, or anyone else going to be in the DC? I'm going to tell you now, the DC one is the most popular. By and large, the majority of volunteers that's the site that they're going to. But I see that someone's posted something already. So yeah, hello folks, getting started a bit late, thrilled to be here today. You can also put a message, hey, this is my first day. I'm really excited, but a little nervous. Who else is going to be there? What table are you going to be sitting at? Would you mind helping me if I get confused, or I, have a question, or I need some advice? This is the great space to be able to put it. And that's kind of it. Again, I will say that the National Archive in DC is probably our busiest location. I will also say that on Friday, there are 3 wonderful museum contractors who are on site. They're on site every Friday. Um, and they are more than happy and more than welcome to help you and to give you guidance and to answer any questions that you may have. But also remember, you have National Archive staff Monday through Friday during their opening hours who are there. They are thrilled that we're doing this. They're thrilled with this project. And again, they're they're there to help you, and they want to see you succeed and the project succeed. And again, can't say it enough. They're also there to be able to answer your questions. And we're also hoping that come January 2026, maybe February 2026, we're waiting on some grant funding to be able to pay a part-time project manager who will be on site, again, to provide that kind of support and guidance, and maybe take a little bit of the pressure off of the National Archives crew. But that's it. That's kind of our whistle-stop tour. Um, I hope everything is clear, everything you need to know about this project and how to do it and how to digitize, create PDFs, share PDFs, do's and don'ts of scanning and document handling, all of that is here. And I can't stress enough, really spend some time going all over all the information I've just shared with you. It really will, I hope, give you the confidence that you need, like I said, to be able to hit the ground running from your first session to help you get the most successful outcome possible. And as always, please do reach out to us on email if you get stuck. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to wish you a blessed day. And again, from myself, the International African American Museum, the Center for Family History team, and on behalf of all of our project partners, I can't say thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your volunteering and your time and your support means everything to us. And I hope it's going to mean something to future generations who are going to be able to access these records. Have a blessed day.